Tanya Swift, and I'd like to talk to you about sedentary behaviour and just discuss sedentary behaviour, particularly in relation to young children. Now, sedentary behaviour is when we are sitting or lying down doing very little or doing things that use very little energy. So a young child might be on a computer watching television, they might be reading a book, which I would say is very good sedentary behaviour. Or they might be doing fine motor movements where they're not moving their belly button. So they might be doing something where they're developing their fine motor skills. So that's also another really good sedentary behaviour, because they're still developing. And then there's also, if a child's sitting in a high chair or in a car seat, that's considered as sedentary behaviour. Now, the idea of sedentary behaviour is it's fine when a child's sleeping, and of course a child needs to rest. Of course a child needs to have times when they're sitting relaxing reading a book, when they're sitting doing fine motor. Of course that's actually really important and really integral to their well-being and their development, but it's about how we can break that up with times where they're moving. Now, you will find most children can't sit still. Most children in early years, they can't sit still. But then you've got a lot of children who do sit still for too long. And a lot of that comes down to technology, I guess. The idea is that a lot of the games and films and TV programs that have been developed for young children are made to change a lot and be engaging, so children then just sit and are very still for a very long time. There was actually some research done over a period of 8 years by education bodies in Canada and New York, and they looked at children from the age of 2 to 10, and they looked at excessive television watching, and they found that for every minute a child watched television, it added a millimetre of the circumference, to the circumference of their waist. And by the age of 10, they really struggled to jump very far from a standing position. So they were really not developing well at all. So their recommendations were up to the age of 2, a child doesn't need technology at all. They do not need screen time at all. But let's face it, reality is, I guess for some parents, it's just sometimes you need a break, but they don't need it at all. And then from the age of 2, it was a maximum of 2 hours screen time a day, but that's actually been revised. I can't quite recall, in 2018 or 2019 it was revised, and their recommendations now are a maximum of 1 hour screen time in the day, throughout the day. But also, the child shouldn't be just having that 1 hour at a time. It should be broken up with activity as well. So I often get people ask me, what do I do? Because, my child just wants to be on computers. But actually, at the end of the day, when a child is young, in early years, you do have a huge impact on what they do in their life. And the idea is really, whether they're at home or nursery or school, they just shouldn't always have the option. They shouldn't always have the option of screen time. Maybe you give them small bursts of screen time, but actually break it up with times outside, playing, running around, jumping, enjoying themselves. If you give them a lot of screen time, they'll most probably take it, because there's just so many fun, engaging things out there. So it's about really thinking about how you can balance modern day life. And then also we have another thing that I wanted to discuss, and that's bucket baby syndrome. And the idea of this is, if a baby is taken out of their cot, put into a high chair, and then fed, and then taken from the high chair and put into a car, in the car seat, and then the car seat fits into the pram, and then the pram gets taken out, baby's sleeping, and you go somewhere and they're still sleeping. And this baby could actually be in this seat, in this one position, which isn't the best position for them, for a long period of time. It's not very good for that baby. So of course, babies are going to be in high chairs, car seats and what have you, but it's actually being aware of how long they're in there for. And actually, there was some research done, and they found that some babies are kept in these these car seats for approximately 5 or 6 hours a day. Some babies that long, which is quite shocking because it's going to really have a huge impact, negative impact on their development. So it's thinking about every day a baby should have time to be on their stomach, on their back, on their sides, outside, water play, sand play, on surfaces, different surfaces. So, if they're moving around, have pillows around so that they can try different things. That child is going to be developing so much before they walk. So make sure that you give them a lot of opportunity to move. If you're carrying them, they're going to be using muscles while you're carrying them. So if you can carry them, it's not always possible. You might have lots of things to carry. So put them in the pram, fine. But if you can carry them, carry them. So it's just about how do we make this work for us as adults as well as children. And when it comes to sedentary time, young children will have as much sedentary time as we let them have. So it's just thinking about how you can actually make sure that they move a lot when they're not sleeping or really resting. I hope you found that interesting, and if you want to find out anything else, please check out my website or get in touch. Thank you for listening.